Welcome to The Soul Space, the podcast that inspires you to discover your truth, ignite your passion, and align your life with the power of who you really are. I'm Georgia Rose, psychic astrologer. I share the cosmic roadmap that guided me through astrology, tarot, and inner knowing into authentic living. I'm here to help you decode your soul's cosmic story, reconnect with your passion, and create the life you are meant to live. It all starts within, and it all starts now in the Soul Space. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Space podcast. I am Georgia Rose, your psychic astrologer. And tonight we're going to talk about how psychics work. How does that work when we get messages and intuition and you go for a psychic reading? Like, how do we really know what's going on? And how can we talk to dead people? So tonight's going to be a really good show. And if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments because I'm going to answer any questions that you might have tonight. I would love to do that. I love it when it's collaborative and you guys come on, you ask me questions. But what I'm going to do first, because, one of my things is I always say, we take ourselves way too seriously. So I think we're going to start with the cosmic comedy. And it's all about getting readings. It's time for Cosmic Comedy, where Mercury retrograde is the main character, the lunations are loony, and the stars are a punchline.
I gotta shuffle these cards again, son of a bitch! Oh, hello. Oh my goodness. These are very bad. Very, very bad. Watch your back and your front. All of it. Bye. Okay, thank you. Hello.
Well, I can't really read the lines in your palm. I need my prescripts. Where are my scripts?
Are there any spirits besides me in this room right now with us?
Shout! Someone's calling. Someone's calling. No, really, someone's calling. What do you want, asshole? I'm at work. I see a light. I see a light. Ow! There's a light.
You're good. I take Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, and Zelle.
Ooh, baby, I see a big white man with a big white house and a big wiener.
Oh no, this is really, really bad. Oh, Shaka Khan, Honda, Shaka Khan.
Stroke the tusk for good luck. Stroke the tusk for good luck. Stroke it. Stroke it. Sup? This is my first day. Give me your hand. Oh, sorry. That's just Cheeto dust. Pick a card. Pick a card. Oops. Daddy dropped his mark.
Yeah, ChatGPT says you're fucked. Sorry.
That could happen to you if you don't call me for a reading. Seriously. I hope you enjoyed that little cosmic comedy. So I'm going to pull some cards for tonight's podcast, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about what happens when you go to a psychic and how do we really work and read energy. So I'm going to pull 3 cards for tonight's show, and also for the general energy of what's going on in the world. What can we expect in the months and years to come? Okay. I'm going to cut the deck. Doo-doo-doo. My first card is the King of Swords. King of Swords is a leader. He is a business person. He's like a boss guy. And boy, we have enough of those in the air right now, don't we? Definitely have a lot of egos and patriarchal society people and all kinds of things. So King of Swords to me is definitely indicative of what's going on globally in the world with some of our world leaders. Let's see what the tarot has to tell us tonight. Next card. Actually, this was in reverse when I pulled it. So this is in reverse to me. This is the card. The 7 of Pentacles is always about hard work paying off. 7 is obviously a very auspicious number. And then in tarot, the little yellow coins that you see are called pentacles, and they mean abundance, but it's in upside down in reverse, which means it hasn't happened yet. So I think maybe there are world leaders that have a certain expectation about what's going to be going on with current events. And I think that they will be surprised because this card usually means hard work paying off. And when it's in the reverse position, it means it hasn't happened yet. That kind of speaks to me of maybe some of our global conflicts are going to go on a lot longer than we might think they will. Then our final card is the Lovers. The Lovers in tarot does not mean literal lovers, although it can mean a relationship. But if you look at the card, the Lovers card has a picture of the two lovers with a mountain in between them, and they are chained together. This is a card of disturbance in a relationship, of a partnership that could go awry, or a partnership where two people are chained together because of an interference in the middle of them. This speaks to me very much about some of the global conflict that we have right now, because we have two very large leadership sources who have a common enemy. And sometimes when you pull the Lovers card, that can mean that the interference is hidden, or there's more interference coming than what meets the eye. So I think altogether, I don't want to put too much of a negative spin on this reading, but I think altogether what this is saying for the world is that whatever conflicts are currently in play, they'll probably be in play for a little while longer. So, yeah, but one of the things I wanted to say, especially as you know, I am a psychic astrologer, and with the astrology in play now, yes, we have a lot of disruption, and yes, we have a lot of disturbance and chaos. But remember, the planets are in flux right now and in a dynamic place where the overall outcome of this is to have a higher species of human, is to elevate a humanity. So in the end, everything will be great, but we just have to go through some of the speed bumps and the bumpiness so far. So I am going to say hi to Sherry and Sarah and Joanna. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and everybody else is out there. I know a lot of you are out there, but it just doesn't sign you in. So tonight we're going to talk about how psychics work. You guys know I'm a psychic, psychic intuitive, and I'm also an astrologer. I am also a lot of other things in the spiritual world, as far as I'm a Reiki master. I also have my yoga teacher training, and I have my rights of Muniki. I am also a master of angelic energy, IET, integrated energy therapy with angelic energy. So I've done a lot of certifications and things like that. I am not a big proponent of psychic development classes, in the sense of people who maybe are highly intuitive or think they're highly intuitive and they're not really tapped in yet, who want to develop their psychic ability, and they go to some of these classes. People will do, an 8-week class or something like that. Not a big proponent of that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I am a big proponent of spiritual development classes. If you can develop the spirit and your connection to your spirit, soul space, that really helps you with your psychic intuition in the psychic realms and getting messages. Psychic development classes, sometimes, it's just my opinion, you can have a different opinion if you'd like. I feel oftentimes that they're a little bit on the performance side. And what I mean by that is, when you're reading a client, whether it's an astrology reading or a spiritual reading, tarot reading, or just a psychic mediumship reading, which I do all of, you can book one on zenkuda.com. When you are looking to develop that in you, and so that you can do that for people, one of the things that you need to do is remember that when you are reading, okay, it's about the client. It's not about what you want to show the client, how smart you are, or how gifted you are, or how you can be really deeply intuitive. And I think a lot of people who are beginning their psychic journey do that, and that's ego. And you don't want to develop your psychic ability from ego. You want to develop your psychic ability from spirit, and with spirit. So that's why spiritual development classes, where they're teaching you how to breathe, meditation, how to connect with yourself, and how to really receive messages. Before you read messages, you have to receive. Those are great. But psychic development classes, where they're like doing exercises with you and you have 20 people in a room, it will heighten your intuition, because when you're around the energy is very heightened anyway, and you'll find yourself opening. But I think one of the dangers of them is they're very focused on the performative end of things. Like, you want to have a good reading, you want to be able to tell the person this, or be able to do this, you want to be accurate. And I think that what has happened with that is, too much in our psychic world, people have become performative. You see it all over television and in the media, and I'm not a performance artist. People come to me who've lost loved ones. People come to me who really are maybe having a healing crisis, or some kind of a crossroads in their life, and they're looking for advice, and they're looking for spiritual connection. They're looking for a revelation. They're looking for an epiphany. They're looking for someone to give them direction on how to get to that place in their own life. Like I always say, I'm not an influencer, I'm an inspirer. So oftentimes I find with people who are in the psychic development world or the psychic reading world, it can be very egoic. So that's my first thing I want to say, is that if you are looking to develop that in yourself, because everyone has that, everyone has the ability to contact other realms, read other realms, talk to angels. Everyone has that ability. It's a muscle that you have to engage. It's a muscle that you have to work out. And everyone is going to do it in a different way, because just like all of our DNA is different, our connection to spirit is different. That's the first thing I wanted to say. So now, why a spiritual development class as opposed to a psychic development class? Because you cannot read clearly, receive messages, connect with other realms when you are not in touch with your own spirit and soul space. And that's why this podcast is called Soul Space, because even if it's just something where you want to be highly intuitive and be able to have clarity and understand what's going on around you, that comes from the soul. It comes from your deep intuition. It doesn't come from a party trick or a card trick. The reason why tarot works, no one really knows, but it's because people who read tarot are usually connected from a spiritual realm, and the cards speak to them in a different way. So that's your first thing, is when we work as psychics, how do we work? We work through the spirit realm and our own spirit, because when we clean out the clutter in our life and we have a spirit development, we develop our own soul space, that deep place of intuition and knowing. What happens then is the messages come through clearer, and they start to come through for the purpose of love and expanding love in the world and for healing. When you are just want to read people's minds and you want to read cards and you want to be able to tell people, oh, you drive a blue car, you're just in a performance type of mindset. And that's really not what psychic ability is about. First thing you have to do for spiritual development is, number one, release anger. If you have anger or unprocessed wounds in your life that you're angry about, or you feel unfair or cheated about something, and that anger is going to come to the surface, you have to resolve that before you are really going to be able to do psychic work. Reason being, anger spreads to everything. And if you are in an open air portal, you're opening a channel of energy, and you're going to read for someone across the table from you, or you're going to perform Reiki, or you're going to do tarot, what will happen is your energy now links with them. So if you're angry, that's going to taint every reading. For instance, I'll give you an example. If you go to a psychic reader and she's very almost cynical or very negative about a relationship, and she spins things a certain way in relationship readings, it's probably because she's angry about a relationship. Because one of the things that we almost can never do is completely eradicate our own conditioning. No matter how much work we do on ourselves, we're always having those cultured opinions and the opinions we grew up with. So that will come through on readers. So if they are not pure, not understanding how to go into a realm of energy that doesn't have those things, you're not going to get the right reading. You're going to get a tainted reading from someone who still hasn't released their conditioning, their anger, whatever their negative emotion is. So you've got to release your anger. And the other reason why you have to release your anger is because we are going into other realms as psychics. We're opening portals where we need a clear connection to that energy. And I'll never forget, one of my very first spiritual mentors said to me, it's just like when you have a pot of boiling water, you can't see through the water. You can't see clearly. That's anger. Anger clouds everything. You can't get clarity when you're in anger. You can't see through boiling water. So once you can do that work and clear that in your life through meditation, through deep contemplation, the next step is you've got to clear the actual physical clutter from your life and the spiritual and mental clutter. If you're going to devote your life to truly helping people, whether it's through astrology or another modality or tarot or reading, you have to be able to have a clutter-free life. Now, oftentimes I joke around with people and I say, I live almost a monastic life. Like I'm living like my friend, she knows who she is, she's watching. And I always say, we're kind of in rarefied air. And when we say that, we don't mean that we are better than anyone else, or we're living a richer life or a deeper life, although in some aspects I believe we are. What we mean is that we've cleared our lives of the clutter, the chaos, the competition, the negativity, to a point where when I close my front door, I have complete and total peace. And I'm perfectly content sometimes to stay in that peace for a weekend, for 3 or 4 days, and not really leave my house. It's a monastic type of life. That's very, very important if you are going to do any kind of energy work for other people. If you're not pure-hearted, how can you in good conscience ever open your energy with another person? And whatever you are going to open with them. So release anger, clear the clutter. Third thing is limit your media. I do not watch death, despair, mayhem movies. I don't watch bloody movies, war movies. I don't watch things that will be in my perimeter and cloud my energy. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a complete Pollyanna and keep my head in the dark and don't watch what's going on in the world. I do, but I choose very, very restrictively what I bring in, even the music I listen to. I'm not listening to, music about killing people. I'm not listening or watching those things. I'm not listening to people who are extremely aggressive. It's just not going to be in my energy field because I live a very peaceful life. So it's really, you can see, if you are going to a true, pure psychic person that really wants the best for you and is there to help you in your soul space, they've done tremendous amount of work, the inner work, the work on themselves. And it's years of intention, of devotion. It's not just, hey, I can read a card, This is really about attracting harmony in every aspect of your life so you can bring that to others. So those are my 3 non-negotiables. If someone comes to me and says, can you mentor me, or how do I do what you do? I say, well, you got to release anger. You got to clear all the clutter out of your life. And by clutter, I don't just mean you're cleaning out your closets and you're cleaning all the clutter in your life, because whatever container you live in is a reflection of how you're living your life outside that container. So if your house is a dirty, filthy mess, your life is a dirty, filthy mess. I'm telling you, that is how it works. And I'm not saying that in a critical way. I'm just saying that we have to have an environment that reflects our inner peace. So release the anger, clear the clutter, limit your media. So now let's get into it. Calling in our guides. When we are a psychic, what do we do? Well, everyone that I know that is a psychic has a way that they connect to source. What is source energy? Source energy is the energy of God, angels, aliens, some entity of light energy that we can connect with. Now, sometimes for me, that's angels. Throughout my psychic ability career, I'm going to call it, there have been different angels that I've worked with at different times. I've also had people who have passed over, sometimes famous people that I've worked with in other realms. I remember when I was first learning about the stars and the planet, oddly enough, I spent a summer with Galileo. And I used to write and he would talk to me a little bit. And no, I'm not crazy. So we can ask a guide to come in for us. We always have guides. I have several guides. I don't really reveal the names of them. The one guide that I do publicly talk about is Saint Germain. I've worked in the Violet Flame most of my psychic life. And when you come to see me, oftentimes you will see violet light or you will feel that energy. But from beginning to end, there's been so many different energies that I've worked with, from angelic realms to archangels to past loved ones. My grandmother Florence is a guide for me. Very different types of way to connect to source. The way you connect to source is what I just described. There's no secret or trick. You got to clear out your life. You have to be really humble. You have to be in a space of silence and stillness, even if that's walking in nature or just sitting on the beach. I remember the most deepest development of my psychic ability was the summer I took a sabbatical, and it was the summer of 2015. And I did nothing but walk the beach with a backpack and walk around Fire Island and eat ice cream at 9:00 in the morning and do whatever I freaking wanted for like 3 months. I had closed a business and I decided I was taking time, and I just indulged myself totally. And it made me completely and totally connect with not only myself, but God and the spirit realm. And it was a beautiful, beautiful time. And because it was so deeply embedded and simple, it was not a complex time. I'm able to call that energy in now whenever I need it. And it's beautiful. So connecting to source has to be what it is for you. how do we find out what that is? Well, as psychics, we've all had a different journey. For me, it was the angelic realm that came in first. I think that was because I was brought up very devout Catholic, and of course, didn't know, anything like this in my life. Even though I've been psychically in tune since I'm a little girl, I just didn't know what it was. So when it first started to really develop in adulthood was because I surrendered to it and I allowed it and I gave it permission to come in. So that's the thing, is when you start to clear the clutter, you start to, really be careful about your media, and you start to release some of the wounds and angers in your life, you really have to be able to come into a space where now you're in communion with yourself and you're allowing the energy to come. A lot of times in a psychic development class and with psychics, I'll see people who are chasing the psychic message. They're like, "Oh, I want to get it in. I know I can get it. I'm getting something." A true psychic is never going to chase a psychic message. It it's comes to us. We relax our body, we allow our mind to go into a different place, a different consciousness, and the message comes in. It comes to us. So how does that happen? So you're connecting with the source, It's almost like, have you ever sat on a beach maybe, or by a lake, or in a beautiful forest, or on a mountain, someplace in nature, and you're completely serene in a moment, and you can really feel God. And I'm sure everyone watching has had some kind of an experience like that. Well, when you develop that and you stay in those moments longer and longer and longer, you can call it in. That's what we do. I remember when I first started working the angelic realm, I felt them around me so deeply. One day I was taking laundry downstairs in my house and I fell down the stairs, and I was alone in my house, and they were really steep cement stairs, and I really was hurt, and I didn't know what to do, and I had that moment of panic, and all of a sudden I just said, "Angels, surround me now." And I kid you not, within maybe 45 seconds, I got up and was walking like nothing ever happened to me, and it was a bad fall. You can call that beautiful energy in. You just have to believe it, and you have to allow it. It's not about chasing it. It's about relaxing enough and believing enough for it to come to you. And once you do that, what's going to happen is, and this is the way it happened for me, happened spontaneously. The first few times that I ever had a true connection with a past person, a past loved one, or a past stranger was completely and utterly like, boom. I was sitting somewhere and this person came in and their loved one happened to be by me, and all of a sudden I was getting a spirit communication for the first time in my life. And then that happened again, and then it happened again. And then I was like, wow, there's something going on here. And it was because I was at a time in my life when I was doing all those things, not for psychic development, but just because I was trying to develop my spirit, and I was so close to God that the messages started to come. So how does that happen? How does that work? It works because these physical bodies that we live in, right? The heart that beats, the breath that breathes, the eyes that see, the ears that hear, it's all temporary. There's a place within that container that is not really part of that container, but we utilize it, we feel it while we're in the container of our life. And it is our soul space, our essence, our soul. And that soul lives on and on and on through many, many realms and through many, many times. So there is a place, for lack of a better word, where the body does not exist. Light exists. Soul exists. And it doesn't happen in linear time. In that place, there is no past, present, future. When we're reading psychically or receiving psychic messages or an intuition or a premonition, we are receiving it from that portal. It is a space in time where everything is happening all at once. So, for instance, I align greatly with the energy of Joan of Arc. I always have, even as a little girl. And some people will say, I was Joan of Arc in a past life. That's probably not exactly true. Somewhat. But what it really is there's a million people who align with Joan of Arc because someone's Joan of Arc right now. Maybe my soul was Joan of Arc 5,000 years ago or millenniums ago. I don't know. Maybe I was Joan of Arc in the future. But it's all happening at once. Everything is happening at once. There is no past, present, future. Time is not linear. And that is why we have the ability to speak to the grandmother who is no longer here in her physical form, because her soul is still in the universe. That's how we work in the psychic realm. It's not so hard to do. It's hard to contact souls sometimes when they've first passed, or maybe they don't want to be contacted. They're busy on the other side. But if the intention is love, I really believe that the soul comes through from the other side to heal you, to show you love, to show you that there is something else. One of the very first things that made me know this, and it is a knowingness. There's a difference between believing and knowing. You can believe something, but knowing it is a completely different realm. And I think I've told this story many, many times, that my dad died and he was sick for a while, and it was several months, and I was by the bedside almost daily. And my father was a very, very tough person. He was narcissistic, yes, but he was just a tough guy, veteran of 2 wars, fought in the World War II, tough guy. And they don't make him like that anymore. And he was very brusque and abrupt and not warm and fuzzy. And I had to have a conversation with him about what he wanted when he died. And I said, Dad, what do you want? What do you want? You want mass? Is there a song you want played? You want me to say something, read something? What? Those are very hard conversations to have, but I made it easier because he really didn't ever show emotion. So it wasn't so, bad. But he said to me, no, I don't want anything. Don't spend any money. Typical my dad. And if you so much as put a cross in that room, I'll come back and haunt you. Typical my dad. So I said to him, because now, you're the daughter and you're like, well, what are we supposed to do here? And I said to him, okay, well, let's make a deal. If you get there and there is like something else, like, there's life after, because he never believed in anything. He was totally atheist. I said, send me a sign. Is that a deal? He said yes. And we pinky swore, on the pinkies. And the night he died, I went home, didn't think I was going to sleep, fell asleep right away. I think it was relief because it was such a long period. And I slept. And when I woke up that morning, upon awakening, as you're, in between, in the in-between state, I had a dream. And the dream was, and my father was in the Navy for like 14 years, and he loved the water. And the dream was I was flying, because I was not in any kind of boat or vessel. I was flying over the water into a sunrise. And the sunrise had colors that I cannot describe, because there's not words to describe something that is not of the earth. There's no language for me to use. It was colors I'd never seen before. It was paradise. It was the other side. And I knew my dad had wanted me to know there was something. We don't just die. And from that moment on, my whole world and universe opened up in a way that I can't even tell you. And I pursued my own spirit. And I knew there was something more. And then a series of events, synchronicity started to kick in. So there's always something that happens to open us to the ability, if we're open to the ability. If we are allowing it and we've surrendered to the fact that this is real. Like I just said, there's no time, and there's no we eat lunch at noon, go to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. That's a man-made construct. In the real universe, the universe of light and love and expansion of compassion and all only good things in paradise, everything is happening all at once. So why wouldn't we be able to contact a soul that is alive, in a sense, for lack of a better word, in another realm? Of course we can. And they're pure love and light. They want the best for us. If someone loved you in this life, you cannot even imagine how much they're loving you from the other side. The music that we hear in this life, those beautiful unbelievable music that we sometimes hear and we're like, wow, that is just otherworldly. Can you imagine how beautiful the music is on the other side? It's all happening. So there's different types of psychic ability, but that's basically how we work. We're connected with that realm where everything is still being. It's light, it's love, it's alive with that. So there's clairaudience. Clairaudience is when you hear. I do have connection as clairaudience in the spirit world. I don't hear voices like you hear my voice now. Usually it's more of the clairvoyant type, which is clear seeing, or the in my mind I'll hear it. I don't hear the voice out loud, although sometimes I have had those experiences. So there's clear hearing, which is the ability to hear sounds from the spirit world. There's clairvoyance, which I am clairvoyant. Clairvoyant is clear seeing. It's the ability to see events in the mind's eye, past, present, or future, without any direct conscious thought. For instance, I was on the phone with a friend the other day, and something just comes in, and I'm like, "Wow, I'm getting something." It's like boop, boop. It just comes in. It's being able to know past, present, and future all one in your mind. It's in your mind, and you don't bring it in. When I'm reading, that happens because the cards are a tool. Clairsentient is clear sensing. You just know. You can feel something. I do have that. Oftentimes I'll feel spirit in the room. I'll know someone's behind someone. I don't see them like you see people, though. That is something that I have asked not to have. Maybe one day I will want to have that, but I don't want to see spirit in physical form. Claircognizance. I'm extremely claircognizant. Claircognizant is you just have a knowing about things. You know something's going to happen. It's a very different feeling than a feeling or a premonition where you think something's going to happen. There are things that I know it's true. It feels like it's almost like pouring out of the top of your head with conscious thought. Oftentimes that will happen to me during a reading where something will come in and I know it's true. And the person maybe won't understand it, or they'll say, no, I don't know. I'm not, that's not making sense to me. And then they'll leave a half hour later and be like, oh my God, I just remembered. Yeah, you were right. You just know it. Claircognizance is boom. No one's ever going to tell you that's not true. Aura sensing. Some people sense auras, and that's the ability to sense vibes. A lot of times we hear the expression indigo children. Children can really sense auras, especially babies, believe it or not. And that's why sometimes babies will follow things with their eyes like nothing's there. I know there's physical reasons for that as well, but sometimes it's because they can sense auras. And I truly believe also that especially cats are very aura sensitive, dogs as well. My dog Sparky could see spirit, but cats are extremely aura sensitive. It's something with their eyes. Precognition. Precognition is the ability to perceive or see a future event. Many psychics have that. I don't have that sharply, but it is part of my clairvoyance that I sometimes know. And what'll happen to me is my body never lies to me. Your body never lies to you either. If you can go into the body and feel something, or if all of a sudden, you're walking down the sidewalk and all of a sudden you feel something in your body, you know that it's real. Oftentimes this works in a couple of different ways for me. Sometimes I'll be going somewhere or doing something and I just can feel a lot of nervousness in my body that I can't control. And sure enough, some event will occur at wherever I'm going or that place. And I've learned now to be able to, sometimes I'll go to the cards as a divination tool, like what's going to happen or something. And I'll know if it's a place I should not go or I should stay home or something like that. But I don't often get precognition like that. Many other people do. I know in dreams and things like that. Psychometry. This helps me. Psychics work with psychometry. It's like they want to hold something. They'll ask you to bring an object from a person so that they can read it. That's very, very much a thing, that objects hold energy. That is why I do not have antiques in my home. I don't buy things at secondhand sales. I just don't do it because I know they're holding energy, and I'm very sensitive to that. But psychometry is like you pick up something and you can read it. This is also something that you'll find if you take a spiritual development or a psychic development class. That will be one of your exercises, where everybody in the class brings something in, and then they have partners, and you hold it and you'll get a vibe and you'll get the feeling and you'll read it. And a lot of these things, although they seem like party tricks, they're just things that you need to practice, and practice will develop it as long as you've done those non-negotiables I talked about in the beginning of the show. So next Monday is going to be Are You Psychic? So we'll talk more about that. And then there's the good old-fashioned telekinesis, which I've never known anybody who has. I don't have it, where you can move objects. Remember Uri Geller years ago? He could move objects, right, with his mind. And telepathy. Telepathy is the direct ability to communicate without words. I believe that that is very much so. I have even had experiences where I'll be in meditation with someone next to me, and they pop into my meditation. We link minds. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll give you an example. It's happened to me a few times. Um, One time I was in a meditation. I was actually riding a horse in my meditation, and I started to fall off the horse. And my friend who was next to me meditating, and it wasn't a guided meditation, we we're all just in our own minds, grabbed me just when I was falling off the horse. They were in my meditation. They said, I could see it. And I was like, that's my meditation. Our minds linked. Crazy stuff happens when you are in open channels. And an empath. And this is why I truly believe that we all have the ability to be psychic and read psychically and understand psychic energy for our own gain and our own benefit. When I say gain, I mean spiritual gain, not material gain, obviously, to bring us to a higher state of evolution, a higher state of consciousness, because we are all empaths. We have the ability to be empath. Not everyone allows it or taps into it, but every human on the planet has the ability to be an empath and have empathy. Basically, all that is the ability to scan another person's energy or psyche for thoughts or feelings that you become aware of. You're empathic. You have empathy. You're feeling everything. I am extremely empathic, to the point where there have been times when I've had to really learn to close my chakras because I was too empathic. When I first started to open psychically, my heart was so open that people could pass through it. And I went to a very, very good spiritual person who used to work on me and do body work on me and Reiki and such. And she said, you've got to learn to close your heart chakra because you're going to feel everyone's pain. And that will happen. There's different levels when you are in spiritual development, where you will be times when you're very emotional and very open, because you are developing your own ability to read and work in energy realms. Automatic writing, I've had this since I'm a child, where I can sit down. That psychic, the young gentleman who's on television, he always has a pad and writes on it when he reads. I do that. If I'm just doing a regular mediumship reading, I will always have paper in my hand. The writing is what does it for me. It's an opening. And mediumship, I do mediumship work. I do work with spirit world. And the reason I can do that is, as I described before, it's all happening now. You know, you want to get in touch with Joan of Arc. Someone's Joan of Arc now. Joan of Arc's Joan of Arc now. Like, you know, so it's like they're all there, from the grandma, the child, the cousin you lost. They're still, their soul is still an energy that is a being. It's alive, not in the physical sense that we know, but it is. So I don't know if anyone has a question or anything, because we're going to probably wrap in a few minutes. But there's also a lot of astrology going on right now. And so, you know, whether it's astrology or you just watch a certain person that's a very reputable person, there are so many psychics and people out there. I can't vouch for them all. I've had my own experiences with people who are not of the light and not really a high integrity type of reader, and you don't want to be involved in that. Get referrals if you're going to have a reading. Go to someone that you really feel resonates with you, that you can trust and understand how they work. You know, I work in a very high spiritual realm. If you are looking for, don't come to me and ask me if so-and-so's coming back, if you're going to win lotto. Don't ask me that stuff, because I don't work that way. If you want to know what your soul mission is, what you need to heal in your life, and how to be in the highest level of consciousness to fulfill your potential, come to me, because I'll read you. I'll tell you exactly what your track is. I do it through astrology. Sometimes I use tarot cards or other cards. I use my psychic ability. I read a chart psychically. Why? because my psychic ability was developed before astrology for me. All of a sudden, I was doing psychic readings and tarot readings and mediumship readings. And all of a sudden, I had to start asking people for their birth date because I didn't even really understand why, but it became an opening into their soul. I could see the soul contract when I had the birth date. And then I realized it was astrological. And in my particular natal chart, there's a configuration that gives me the ability to read patterns and see patterns that is like a gift. And a lot of astrologers have it. And so then I started to read charts. So I combined my psychic ability with reading a chart. And in the beginning, when I first started to read charts and I worked with a mentor, a very prominent mentor, I used to say, well, I feel this person is this. I can feel the energy. I know they have an issue with this, or the soul's experience is this. And he'd say, where do you see that in the chart? And I literally couldn't interpret or tell him where I saw it in the chart. I just knew it when I looked at the chart. I could see a pattern and I could see, well, Mars is here and that's there, but I don't know what that means. I just know what I'm feeling. I literally was reading charts sentiently and psychically, and then learned astrology over 15 years and became able to put them together. And that's why my readings are very deep. They're soulful. They are really about your soul came into this world for X. It's going to do it through Y. This is where you need to go. Follow the map. And so it's very unique. Other people use tarot cards, oracle cards, runes, I Ching, pendulums. I tried them all and landed on what I landed on. And that's the way it usually works. Crystal balls. I do have things I use to scry, which is crystals that you can look in and you can see things play out. Teacups, tea leaves. I mean, you name it. Whatever the portal is, psychics know how, if they know how to work in their own spirit and their own spiritual realm, whatever the tool is becomes the tool. Joanna, who is on, I know she had a very, very close person that she worked with, Lois, who was a numerologist. That was their opening. You know, for me, astrology became the portal to the soul. So that's what I have here. So I prefer using, I'm an astrologer in my heart, you know, I'm a psychic in my heart. Sherry's asking me if I have a preference of what I do to read. What will happen is, because now again, I'm not chasing, I'm allowing, right? I'm allowing spirit to use me as a channel. So I will say, I have this gift, I'm reading, I'm doing this, but really, guys, it's not me. It's God. It's a guide. It's an angel. It's your loved one from the other side using me as a funnel for what their message is. I'm just a conduit. And that's what you develop. You don't develop like, I know everything, I'm the be all and end all. No, I'm grateful that I am able to do this and that I've done the work, and God showed me my path to do the work, to be able to give healing messages and help people in this manner. It's an extreme responsibility that sometimes us psychics don't want. Believe me, it's hard work, and sometimes it's not easy work. People come to you that are in deep grief sometimes and crisis. It's not an easy thing. With Reiki, sometimes I give Reiki to people who are dying. But just like Jesus in the garden, Father, take this away from me. We all have moments like that. Whenever I am doing a reading or I'm going to do a massive event, I always get on my knees and recite a prayer that has been with me from the beginning. And I thank God for allowing me to be in this beautiful realm of light that I work in. And I am very humbled by that. And then I go into my reading. Once I do that, it will usually, through clairvoyance, come to me if I should use cards, not use cards, which cards I should use, if I need to write it down, if someone's coming through. Many times on astrology reading, a past loved one will just come through. It's just meant to happen. So I can't have a preference going in because it will taint it. If I said, oh, I'm only going to do cards today, that might not be the plan, you know? So I always am, show me what I should be doing. And we'll talk more about that next week when we talk about, are you psychic? And I believe each one of you watching and listening out there are. So I'm just going to go through and say hi. I get very carried away on this subject. I'm sorry, guys, I'm running a little overtime, but I'm going to say hi to Sherry and Sarah and Joanna and everybody else who's out there. Just please know that the realms, the people that you've lost, or even for your own sake, you really need to make a decision and you want guidance. your guides and the energy of creator that created you is within you, and you can access it anytime. It is there to help you, heal you, and expand love in your life. It's not about pulling a card. It's about intention of wanting my life to be peaceful and filled with love, and knowing that there is a source out there higher than any of us that wants us to live in the highest, most beautiful, happiest life we can. So that's it for tonight. If you're looking for readings, call Zencuda.com. Please share the show if you think somebody will enjoy watching this. It'll be banked on my Zencuda channel tomorrow. You can watch it. And also on my website, Zencuda.com. All of my podcasts are there. I love you guys. This is the energy I source my life from. Thank you for watching.